In the annals of history, few events have shaped our world as profoundly as the world wars. As we cast our minds back to the early 20th century, a tempest was brewing. A complex tapestry of power, pride and politics was being woven, setting the stage for World War I. Amidst an escalating fervour of nationalism, an intricate system of alliances was taking shape. Powerful nations, bound by treaties, were ready to defend each other, creating a potentially explosive situation. It was a powder keg waiting for a spark. That spark came with the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, a tragic event that sent shockwaves through the geopolitical landscape. The world watched in anticipation and dread as nations took sides, mobilizing their armies, readying their navies and preparing for a conflict of unprecedented scale. The echoes of war drums were growing louder, reverberating across continents. And so the stage was set for a war that would span continents and claim millions of lives. As the war commenced, the world witnessed a shift in battle tactics and weaponry. The grueling stalemate on the Western Front gave birth to a grim innovation: trench warfare. Soldiers dug deep into the earth, carving out serpentine networks of trenches, a grimy underworld where they lived, fought, and too often died. This new form of warfare was a far cry from the open field battles of yesteryears, with its muddy trenches becoming the foreboding symbols of the First World War. But the trenches weren't the only horror birthed by this war. The battlefield was soon shrouded in a deadly new weapon: poison gas. Initially used by the Germans at Ypres in April 1915, this insidious weapon could choke, blind, or burn its victims from the inside out. Gas warfare introduced a terrifyingly silent killer to the battlefield, one that transformed warfare into a nightmare landscape. Yet, amid the mud and gas, the war also brought forth technological marvels. The British introduced the world to the tank, a steel beast that could traverse the uneven terrain, crush barbed wire and shrug off machine gun fire. The Mark I, the first tank used in combat, signalled a seismic shift in warfare, becoming the precursor to the armoured warfare of the future. And then there were the airplanes. Once a novelty, these machines quickly evolved into lethal weapons. From reconnaissance to dogfights and finally to bombing runs, the airplane extended the battlefield into the skies, marking the onset of aerial warfare. These innovations, as horrific as they were, forever changed the face of warfare. They propelled humanity into a new era of conflict, one where brutality and technology intertwined in a dance of destruction. As we delve deeper into the tactics and weapons of the world wars, let us remember the cost at which these advancements came: the human cost, the ethical cost, and the cost to our collective humanity. These innovations, as horrific as they were, forever changed the face of warfare. After 4 years of bloodshed, World War I came to a grinding halt. The signing of the Treaty of Versailles on June 28, 1919, marked the end of this global conflict. This treaty, however, was much more than a simple ceasefire. It was a means of exacting revenge on Germany, the perceived instigator of the war. Germany was burdened with the full responsibility for the war and was saddled with crippling reparations. The nation's economy plummeted into turmoil, and its people, bearing the brunt of these punitive measures, were steeped in resentment. This resentment was fertile ground for the rise of extremist ideologies. The harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles were not seen as a just resolution, but rather a humiliating defeat. This, coupled with the economic devastation, sowed the seeds of discontent among the German people. Little did the world know, these seeds of discontent would soon give rise to another world war. 2 decades later, the world once again found itself on the brink of war. The seeds of conflict were sown with the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. Their ideology of racial purity and territorial expansion would soon plunge the world into chaos. In the heart of Europe, Hitler's Germany, buoyed by aggressive nationalism and a desire to rectify perceived injustices of the Treaty of Versailles, set its sights on Poland. The invasion, launched in September 1939, marked the cruel introduction of Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War, a brutal and swift form of warfare that would come to define the early stages of the conflict. Despite hopes for peace, Britain and France could no longer stand idly by. On the 3rd of September, they declared war on Germany, stepping into the fray to defend Poland's sovereignty. World War II had begun, and with it came a new era of warfare. World War II saw an escalation in battle tactics and weaponry. The innovation and brutality of the Second World War were unparalleled, with the introduction of strategies and weapons that changed the face of warfare forever. One such strategy was the infamous German Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. This tactic involved rapid, concentrated attacks intended to create a swift victory, minimizing casualties on the attacker's side. The Blitzkrieg proved devastatingly effective during the early years of the war, particularly in the invasions of Poland and France. But the Blitzkrieg was not the only game changer. The role of air power in World War II cannot be understated. From the Battle of Britain, where the Royal Air Force defended the United Kingdom against large-scale attacks by Nazi Germany's Air Force, the Luftwaffe, to the strategic bombing campaigns that decimated cities and infrastructure, the skies became a critical battlefield. Tanks too played a pivotal role, evolving significantly from their World War I counterparts. The German Panzer, the American Sherman, and the Soviet T-34, among others, became symbols of armoured warfare, each with their unique strengths and weaknesses. These metal beasts not only served as mobile artillery, but also as psychological weapons, instilling fear in the hearts of enemy infantry. And then, of course, there was the introduction of the most destructive weapon in human history, the nuclear bomb. In the waning days of the war, the United States dropped 2 of these bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender. The devastating effects of these weapons, both immediate and long-term, were a stark reminder of the destructive potential humanity had unlocked. The horrors of World War II were unprecedented, and its impact is still felt today. From the Blitzkrieg to the nuclear bomb, the tactics and weapons of this global conflict left a lasting imprint on the world, shaping the future of warfare and our understanding of its costs. After 6 long years, World War II finally came to an end. The year was 1945. The world watched in silent horror as the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leaving devastation in their wake. The sheer power of these weapons brought a swift conclusion to the war in the Pacific. Meanwhile, in Europe, the relentless advance of the Allied forces resulted in the surrender of Nazi Germany. The signing of the unconditional surrender in a red schoolhouse in Reims, France, signified the end of Hitler's reign of terror. In the aftermath of the war, nations banded together to form the United Nations, an international organization designed to maintain peace and promote cooperation among countries. This marked a significant step towards creating a more secure and peaceful world. And so the world breathed a sigh of relief, hoping never to repeat such atrocities. The world wars were a testament to human conflict and innovation. As we turn the pages of history and reflect upon these 2 monumental conflicts, we can see the stark transformation of warfare. The First World War introduced us to a new era of mechanized combat, with tanks rumbling across the battlefields and aircraft soaring in the skies above. It was a war of trenches and attrition, of gas masks and artillery, a grim dance of death and destruction. Then came the Second World War, where the art of warfare evolved further. Tactics became more complex, weapons more devastating. We saw the birth of the atomic age, an era of power and peril that still shapes our world today. The scale of the conflict was unparalleled, engulfing entire continents, and the human cost was staggering. But it wasn't just about the weapons and the battles. These wars were a crucible of change, molding the world as we know it. They altered the course of history, setting the stage for the geopolitical landscape of the 20th century and beyond. They showed us the best and worst of humanity, of heroism and horror, of innovation and devastation. Yet perhaps the most profound legacy of these wars lies in the immense human cost. The millions of lives lost, the cities reduced to rubble, the societies torn apart. The echoes of their sacrifice still reverberate through the corridors of time, a stark reminder of the price we pay for conflict. These wars also kindled a universal yearning for peace. They led to the creation of international bodies and conventions aimed at preventing such large-scale conflicts in the future. They inspired a new era of diplomacy and negotiation, where dialogue replaced violence as the preferred means of resolving disputes. As we remember the past, let us strive for a future where such conflicts are a thing of history. Amidst the echoes of the guns and the shadows of the fallen, let us find the will to build a world of peace and understanding, where the lessons of the world wars guide us towards a path of harmony and mutual respect.